What's up guys, Geekay here, back with another video. Today I want to talk about Mosfet mods and what happens when the Mosfet on Mosfet mods fail. I have a very good example of auto firing to show you, where the mod just fired by itself until it was completely, utterly destroyed. Now, if you don't know what Mosfet is or how it works like in a mod, it kind of makes your mod into an unregulated mod. A Mosfet is a very tiny PCB board inside your mod that actually serves a few levels of protection and serves as a gate. Now, Mosfet is actually an acronym, two acronyms. You have FET, F-E-T, which stands for Field Effect Transistor. And then you have MOS, M-O-S, which stands for Metal Oxide Semiconductor. So put them together, you have Metal Oxide Semiconductor Field Effect Transistor. And therefore, a lot of people, just to make life easier, call them MOSFETs. Now, a lot of squonk mods, this one for example, this is the Proteus Projects Malu. It comes with a Mosfet board inside. So it is not a mechanical mod because there are no moving components when you press the fire button, other than the fire button itself. Mosfets are used in many different places, but in squonking, there are few Mosfets around that I would say 90% of the Mosfet mods are using. When it works, it's really good. You have basic level protection, short circuit protection, etc, reverse polarity protection. And when a Mosfet mod is wired properly, done properly, it actually fires just as hard as any mechanical mod I have owned. But first, let me show you what happens when Mosfets go horribly wrong. So here is the wreckage of my Punto Zero version 1, and as you can see, it's completely gone, completely destroyed. And this was actually a pretty new Punto Zero version 2, version 1, sorry. I actually got it locally in Malaysia, and it was just before the Punto Zero version 2 came out. So they came out with a revamped version. As you can see, it's completely burned on top, and the carbon fiber panel, right? It fell off. No, actually I removed it. It was so easy to remove it. And this is the top contacts that was on here, just burned. I had a stabilized wood door that I made myself for the Punto Zero version 1. It's actually one of my favorite, one of the most well-made ones that I have. That got burned as well on the top part, so you can see it was pretty hot. Now this is the RDA that I had on, the Gas Mods GR1. The cap was a Delrin cap, if I'm not mistaken, and that I have no idea where it went. It probably just vaporized or melted to the rest of it. The 510 looks like I can salvage the 510. This is the SVASK 510. All I have to do is just remove the melted part of the mod, which is pretty hard to do. What else? The button, right? So the gas mods is still usable, but I don't want to use it. I have to do lots of cleaning for it. So you can see the Mosfet right here for the Punto Zero version 1, and it's all become like some kind of a powdery substance. It's probably not good to inhale any of this. You can see the wiring here for the Punto Zero version 1 to the positive positive contact down there, right? The button actually still works, right? Obviously the board is not going to be in working condition anymore. Gives you a good glimpse of what goes on inside the Punto Zero version 1. Alright, so simple Mosfet, soldering to this contact right here, soldering via a silver wire, this one, to the 510. Very simple setup. There you go. So there's a lot of issues of auto firing that I've noticed online in many different Facebook groups. The one that I have, the Punto Zero version 1, uses the Bomberino Mosfet inside, and it just auto fired. Right, so the story was like this. I I take very good care of my mods. I clean the contacts, etc. And this particular Bomberino does not have an on-off 3 clicks on, 3 clicks off kind of thing. It does not have that at all. So usually what I do when I'm no longer using the mod is just remove the battery. And since it does not have an on-off protection, I don't even actually put it into my pockets. And that's how well I take care of that Punto Zero version 1. Mosfet mods have auto-fired on me. This is not the first time, it's actually the third time. But the first 2 times, I caught it. So when it happened, the first time, the Mosfet mod was right in front of me when I'm doing my work. And then suddenly you can hear, I'm like, what the fuck, man? And so I immediately grabbed the mod and I looked at it and it was just firing. And so I unscrewed the battery cap, broke the connection. And then after that, it actually worked okay. When I screwed it back on, it worked fine. The second time, I actually put a Mosfet mod in my cupboard, in my living room, and closed it. All my vape stuff is inside, so my son cannot actually get it, and I closed it. And then I went to the kitchen to make myself a drink, and for whatever reason, I just wanted to go and get my vape. And when I opened the cupboard, I could hear it was auto-firing again. So I got lucky 2 times, but the third time, not so lucky as you saw. So the story is very simple. I was vaping while I'm taking a pee-poo, taking a big boo-boo, making a big boo-boo, while of course playing Clash Royale. That's what I always do. And the bathroom is the only place I can vape without my son trying to catch my clouds, or my wife nagging about how certain flavors she don't like the smell, etc, etc. So as usual, yeah, I was vaping, and then I wanted to take a shower. So I put the mod on the shelf. I put it on its side actually, alright? And no harm done because the button is actually on here, something like this, right? So I just put it there on the shelf. I took a shower, which was about 10 minutes. And as soon as I got out of the shower, I saw on my bookshelf a small blue fire, right? And then I immediately knew what was happening because this was the third time it auto-fired. Not the Punto Zero version 1, but the third time overall I had an auto-firing Mosfet mod. So I quickly picked it up and then instinct just kicked in. I just removed the door. And in that split second, I could see that the door had burned the top part of it, and that I was like, oh damn man, this is the best stab-wood door that I ever made. And then I threw the door down. It was still hot, very hot. I threw the door down and I just hold the bottom part of the mod and I just flung the battery into the bathroom because I was almost panicked. I didn't want the battery to explode. That would most definitely happen if I were to come out of shower like maybe 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later, right? The fire didn't quite reach the battery yet, but it was very, very close. It had reached the contact, so the battery was hot as well. So I just flung the battery out into one corner of the bathroom, and if it was going to vent or whatever in that small little corner, and that was fine. Then I threw my mod down on the floor, blue flame on top of it, and I just splashed some water on top of it. And as soon as I picked it up, I knew it was gone. The end. There's just no coming back from that, and there's no way I can fix it. Nothing. And I was still in shock. I was still in shock because this mod was practically new. I mean, I have a version 2 Punto Zero as well, and I bought the version 1 towards the final few batches or the later batches before the version 2 was actually out, right? So very new. I used it maybe 4 or 5 times and I take really good care of it. So I was really, really shocked. But I have heard many people complain about Mosfet mods, auto firing, etc. And I didn't think it will happen to me because usually I remove the batteries. When it can be locked, I do lock it. If it's 3 clicks, 5 clicks lock, I lock it when I want to put it in my pocket. But when I'm no longer using it or putting it overnight, I always remove the battery or loosen the battery cap to break the connection. I never thought it would happen to me, but it did. And in this case, it was just so unavoidable because I knew it's just going to be like 5-10 minutes taking a shower, so I didn't want to remove my battery. And so the timing was like crazy, man. Like I said, I got lucky twice, So the third time, it just happened. So I've done a lot of research since then on MOSFET mods. I used to hear the rumors, I see the pictures, some mod are totally burnt up, some in worse condition than mine, like some like completely gone, only a thin piece of Delrin stuck to the battery tube, etc. Yeah, I've seen those pictures, I'm sure you have too. And we've always been told that MOSFET mods are safe, safer than mechanical mods. I really start to doubt that recently. I actually nowadays think, my opinion is that mechanical mods are actually safer. You just need to learn the basic safety precautions of a mechanical mod, and with a mechanical mod, unless you are holding it, pressing it, it's not going to fire. With a MOSFET, you assume that all this protection is there, it's going to keep you safe, but it can auto fire without you being involved, without you doing anything. It can just fire by itself, it can just burn, it can just explode the battery. So I didn't want to sound like a fool by just ranting. This actually happened quite some time back, maybe two months ago. You've seen the pictures on my Facebook, and many people commented on it, and that's why I picked up some of these stories as well. So since then, I've been in contact with some modders to get to know MOSFETs, how they work, what are the problems, etc. There are many different MOSFETs available. Aside from the custom MOSFETs that people usually design and do themselves for their own mods, there are those ready-made MOSFETs, similar to how Evolve does their DNA board. They don't make mods, they make boards, DNA 60, 75, 75C, etc. and they sell them to other people who make mods. So for MOSFETs, there's a switch FET, there's a click FET, there's a Bomberino, there's a Bomber Pro. Those four MOSFETs that are available to modders. So any high-end vape mod that you use that has a MOSFET is most probably going to be using one of those four that I mentioned earlier. So I've done a lot of research, and I'm ready to share a lot of information with you, but that will be for the next video, right? The next video I will talk about one very big lie about MOSFET mods that almost everyone is lying to you about. All those four boards I mentioned, all those four boards lie, just outright, just fucking lie to you about this one safety feature that is in their MOSFET. And I'll also tell you how to make, if you have an existing MOSFET mod, what you should do to make sure that it doesn't auto fire, because most of the times it's out of your control, it's out in there, hidden somewhere, out of access, you can't reach it, you can't take a look at the MOSFET to see if there's something wrong or if there's juice or liquid on it. So I'll tell you how to take care of it. I'll also tell you one very easy, simple step on how to protect your MOSFET mods by making it liquid proof. Right? That has to be in the next video because I need a lot of time to edit it, so I thought I'd just push this one out first. So then the next video I don't have to whine about me losing my Punto Zero version 1. But when it happens, it is so fucking devastating, man. I am like, man, hundreds of dollars gone just like that. Now, before you say Chinese MOSFETs are safe, I don't think so. Next video, I'll also show you some videos of certain Chinese MOSFET mods. Well, actually, it is the Wismag Luxotic bottom feeding mod, has a MOSFET inside as well. And those mods also actually auto fire. So it's just across the board with MOSFETs, whether it's been done properly or not, and whether you actually understand what you're getting when you get a MOSFET mod. Stay tuned for the next video. Okie dokie, no more smoky.
Wow.